Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to another episode of Community Livestream. My name is Chuck Tomasi. I am the ServiceNow guy with the cool bow tie, bringing you more information from the community in that random, chaotic fashion that I always do. This is Friday, May 19th, 18th? What is it today? It's the 18th. I've lost track again. May 18th, 2018. Wishing you all the best. Thank you for joining me. This is done live. No rehearsal, no script. Whatever comes out of the community and comes out of my head is what you get for the next hour or so, and I hope you find it helpful. We do this, I say we as in I do this on YouTube and Twitch every day, so if you want to subscribe to the channel, very much appreciated. You will get not only this and the announcements that, hey, there's a live stream, but you'll get other sessions as well that we bring you on a regular basis. I think for every video that I do, the community comes out with about one or two or three more. Good morning, Fort Lauderdale, Mr. Aspen Now Solutions. Good meeting you at Knowledge, by the way, even if only briefly. Thank you for taking the time to stop by and say hi. It was a lot of fun. I encourage you, if you have been to Knowledge, I'm going to talk about it a little later, but if you have been to Knowledge 18, please do yourself a favor, and you get a better chance of going back next year if you do a write-up, a synopsis, a sharing of that information of what you learned, what you saw, what you got out of it, and how you can apply that to your career, how it's strategic. And that will show that not only did you plan to go and then you went, but you followed up. Good morning, Carolyn. Good morning, Jay. Chicago checking in for Jay. Hope it's a nice day there. Good morning, Carolyn. Oh, had a lot of fun. Still recovering. And now off to vacation with the family for a little while. So this will be the last video you get like this for some time. I did mention that we also do this on Twitch if you care to watch there. It's also a simulcast. They only keep about 2 weeks worth of the backlog, whereas you can find everything else on YouTube. Encourage you again, subscribe, like, favorite, whatever you do on that particular social media channel is greatly appreciated. I will also be using my personal developer instance as a sandbox. Before the show started, I was involved with a couple of threads that there's some information to share out of there, and I will get to that a little bit later in this session. One that I promised, I said, I am going to mention this because it is a very common issue, and I don't think it can be overstated enough to go through those concepts on a fairly regular basis, depending on when you're watching this. You could be a routine regular around the coffee table. Well, for some of us, not coffee, it's herbal tea. And others may just be popping in to check out what's going on. So thank you for joining. We have that. We also have, let's see, we did YouTube, Twitch, the community, of course. If you want to say hi, go ahead and jump into the YouTube chat or the Twitch chat and say hello. Love to hear from you there. And if you've got a question about your instance or you've got an issue, please post that in the community. Something that I learned yesterday. I learn something new every day. That's sort of the point of my life. Something I learned, and the other half of that coin is not just to learn, but share. Let's get rid of that. Something I learned in the community was that you've probably heard me on the last few episodes saying we could really do with a forum for service portal. Found out that there's actually something a little bit better because the forums, if you go under communities and you look at all forums, you can see that they are largely based around the product families. There is not a product called Service Portal. That is a feature. However, if you look under developer community, and I'll show you a quicker way to get to this than what I'm doing here. This is obviously for scripting questions, integration, something that's a little more complex that's not specific to an application. But on the other hand, where is it still loading? Slow browser, take a drink. Should add that as a t-shirt. You know what? That's taking a little longer than my comfort level. I am going to do a page refresh on that just to get us up to speed. There we are. Oh, of course, it just came up right as the refresh took. So And down here, we can see related topics. And there, my friends, is service portal development. Now, if you are composing a new issue and you say, I have a question, and you start typing here, and you say, my question is all about UI action going somewhere other than list and current page. Okay, let's say we want to make a UI action. The topics down here is where you can pick that. And of course, service portal development is a topic. It's sort of a subforum or a topic within that. Very much like knowledge base used to have topics, where you had the knowledge base and then you had a topic and a category, that kind of thing. So it's a way of subdividing those. So if you want to filter on those topics, the service portal stuff is in there. However, it relies on the honesty or the integrity or the astuteness of the person posting to put that topic in there so that you can see just those service portal questions. So not only am I now recommending a best practice in the community to post in the correct forum, but pick your topics appropriately to get the maximum effectiveness from the viewers. That's how you will get your answers quicker and better, and people will be able to find them later. It's a good thing. Good morning, Steve from Stockholm, Sweden. Everybody's on board. I think this train is just about ready to leave the station. If you haven't said hello in the chat, good morning to you. Good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are. Like I said at the top of the show, I think we're ready to go. So that's my community tip for the day. I have some more goodness to share, but let's start by digging in. Hey, what do you guys think about, the occasional news story? As I go through the Twitter feeds and LinkedIn and whatnot in the mornings, I find things that might be interesting to share. You want to turn this into anything newsy for 5 minutes and just bring you some ServiceNow news, or would you rather stick with the community and topical information? I'm leaving that up to you. If you want to get in touch with me, you can either send a message into the chat, put a comment on this video, or send me a direct email, chuck.tomasi@servicenow.com. So having some fun with that. Just thinking about things. I like to change it up, explore, try new things. Let's filter this down real easy by going to the unreplied section. My dev 52071 instance is offline. Let's verify that. I don't know that I can do anything if it truly is offline. 52071, dev 52071, service-now.com. See what we get. It is truly offline. Did you try and wake it up? If it was not awake, yeah, that's going to require the help of our instance help people. I can do a little bit with the personal developer instances if they in fact are online, but I cannot do that. Maybe someday. Adding multiple users to the watch list at once. Hey, I got a solution for you on this one. So a watch list, as I mentioned before, is like a reference field, but instead of holding one sys-ID, it's got a comma-separated list of values. Wonder if there's a way to add multiple users to the watch list at once. At the moment, when you open the reference field, the user table can only select one user. I wanted to have tick boxes available. They're asking for a general UI change. So it can run list context UI actions and add multiple. Has anyone done this? Can advise. Not in the standard UI, possibly in Service Portal if you're fairly proficient. I'm going to try dictation on this. See what happens. Come on. I don't know of a way to do this in the standard UI. It's not configurable in that way, period. You may be able to do this with Service Portal, or period. You could potentially do this with a many-to-many related list, comma, and then take those values added to the related list and put them into your watch list, period. All right, we'll clean that up real quick. Maybe we'll do this with Service Portal for you. No, that doesn't make any sense. I should have a disclaimer. This has been dictated. I don't have a way to do this. don't know of a way. Let's change that. To do this in the standard UI. UI. It's not configurable in that way. You may be able to do this with Service Portal widget of your own creation, possibly involving a third-party library. You could potential he. Wow, this is really a little rough in the throat this morning. Do this with a many-to-many related list, and then take those values added to the regulated list. I might have an enunciation problem. I might have the microphone a little too far away. And put them in your watch list using a script. Kind of complex and customized. I wouldn't recommend it. Again, gets into that complexity thing. I think I mention this almost every day. Weigh the value of the development and maintenance and testing and upgrades and all that goodness of any given solution against that risk. Okay, what is the value of that versus the cost of it? Understand the true cost, the long-term cost of building this. If you have to script, cost goes up a lot. You know, my voice was fine last night. We did drink the source code porter. That was fun. We had, one moment. Try that. Me. A little bit better. So we went to the Nano Brewery last night where we brewed the source code porter just over a month ago. And it was very, very good. Very good. Probably one of the best porters I've ever had. And if you follow me on Untapped, UNTAPPD, the Social Drinkers Network, or the Drinkers Social Network, you can find information there. I actually got to enter it. It was on the little printed sheet. They come out with the beer selection, and it said source code porter. You had Service Now on there. I posted a picture on meetup.com if you want to see that. It was kind of fun. So Jeff says he'd be a fan of news. Okay. Guest speakers. Not sure how easy that is to pull off. Jay, that would be a little tricky, getting people this early in the morning to be online for this. And also, the way that the studio set up with the green screen and whatnot would be a little challenging as well. But I will give it some thought. There may be a possibility to do that in the future. Carolyn says yes for news. Beer was excellent. Just catching up with some of the comments. Done more digging regarding the dynamic place of widgets. Looks like it's not happening. Okay, Steve, that's kind of what I thought with the Bootstrap layout. Unless you went with, I don't even know if this is possible, but you know when you put together a dashboard, whether it's a PA dashboard or somebody else's dashboard, and you can resize things dynamically. Of course, those aren't conditional, but it does have a way to sort of allow you to fill in the gaps. And I don't know if that might be a possible solution to what you're looking for. But in a service portal scenario, yeah, it is all Bootstrap layout based. So you're going to have containers and 12 wide columns, that kind of thing. Where was I? I did the watch list at once. Developer group in Sao Paulo. That would be fun. Hope you get that. I don't know if this is in Portuguese or not. But let's find out. It is in Portuguese. Someone looking for a developer meetup? Yep. I can't read Portuguese, but I could get the gist of that one. Service catalog approval workflow, adding extra auto approve stage. Let's see if we can dig into that one. Maybe get a little closer to a solution. I've created a service catalog item which can be ordered. This is intended to require approval from a member of a group, not the whole group. Once approved, it is then passed as a catalog task to the help desk team to be processed. This is working, but certainly has an annoying aspect to it. After the request has been opened, the first step of the workflow is to request an approval. Once approved, it does an approval action marked as approved. Getting wrapped around the words here. This is hurting my 6 a.m. brain. If rejected, it will do an approval action to mark it as rejected. See attached picture. However, when I view the open request, I see an extra approval stage listed, which has been automatically approved. See attached picture. Okay, your stages aren't going along with waiting for approval, request approved, request open. Cannot see why this extra stage is happening. I don't want it to be included. I want it to be request open. Well, waiting for approval, request open. Which one am I missing? Waiting for approval. You need to go and manage your stages. And that, my friends, is done workflow stages. Looks like it's using the default stages. You could do a stage set, or you could do this. So stages are a way to give you that sort of FedEx tracking kind of thing. And you have to manage them. If you don't, you're going to get the defaults. Okay, stages are a way to get that FedEx tracking in a list view, as you showed. If you haven't configured anything around stages, you will get the defaults, which is shown in your other picture, which same picture. I recommend taking a look at configuring your stages using stage sets. Start here. The garbage truck is here. Hey, you know what else I figured out? This is another quick tip. In case you're watching in the background, you might want to pay attention to this one. I mindlessly this morning was putting together a few links in Google Docs, and they allow you to do Command K to insert a link real fast. And mindlessly, I was in the community and I hit Command K, and lo and behold, a shortcut came up to put a link in. Thank you, community team, for A, making this available as a shortcut key, and B, making it consistent with somebody else's interface. In fact, Evernote also does Command K. Now, it may be Control K on a Windows machine. I don't have a Windows machine handy. I haven't tested this. Someone please verify that and get back to me. But now I can paste this in and we can move through the community a little quicker. I love it. So Command K is your friend. I don't know what else is up here for hotkeys on this little tiny MCE editor. Maybe we could take a quick look and answer that question together. So tiny MCE shortcut keys or shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts. Oh, this would be nice. Bold is Control B, Control A. So on a Mac, Command B, Command U. We could try some of these out. Headers, Control Alt numbers. Insert a link, Command K. Nice. Save, Command S. Fine, Command F. Address, div, paragraph. Okay, so the most common ones are going to be the ones you would expect with select all, underline, bold, that kind of thing. I have a very chatty couple of friends who are making my watch vibrate right now. But that was neat, being able to do that. So Tiny MCE has some shortcuts. We'll explore in a little bit and see if SurfNow respects them. I'm pretty sure I've done the bold, but I don't recall if I've done that since we've transferred to the new community. Let's continue having our fun. In Microsoft Outlook on Mac, it seems to do a Control Command K to do a link. Yeah, I've noticed some people are either Control Command K or Shift Command V. Depending on the editor, Command V would be to do your paste. It feels like a Microsoft thing, but I haven't verified that. There are some applications that throw in an additional meta key, and yeah, it's kind of annoying, and I can see how that would prevent you from conflicting with other options. When I was doing the guidebook for my knowledge lab using Visual Studio Code, VS Code, from Microsoft on my Mac. Very nice editor, by the way, totally free. You can copy a screenshot and then paste it into the editor, but it will paste it into the folder of your choice. Or I think maybe it's a default folder, but it will paste the image, create a file, and create the markdown code for that image. So it's kind of cool the way it does that. But it was Command Shift V or Control Shift V or something. There was an extra meta key in there to do that. Still very fast once you understand shortcut keys that are involved. If you've got the opportunity, please use shortcut keys wherever possible. It will speed up your life and make you more efficient and save you hours and hours that you can use on higher value things than menu options. I also encourage you, if you've got a computer with a trackpad, use the trackpad, not the mouse. Unless, of course, it's like a magic mouse that also knows what gestures are. But we won't get into that today. Setting a value in a test for an option field generated from a script. Curious title. Let's take a look. Is it possible to set a value for a drop-down variable that gets its options via script on the form? For example, a previous field results in drop-down values getting selected. As it is, the set value form for the test only shows the initial drop-down values. We're talking about automated testing. Look, someone's using topics. I don't know. ATF, if you're running the client script runner, client test runner should honor client scripts. Figured there would be a way simply to run a custom client script as part of the test, but this one I'm going to subscribe to because I don't know enough about ATF to give an answer, but I would like to learn more. Service catalog, service catalog, service catalog. Sure, why not? Generic titles. Gotta love them. How to declare variable in catalog item, which is a checkbox along with a box for information. I'm not quite following what the requirement is. Okay. Let's ask for details. Can you provide some additional details on what you're trying to accomplish? Table and catalog items or current screenshots are appreciated. Business requirements. Requirements are always A+. Thank you. I'm having a hard time even visualizing what they're talking about. State flow. I've dealt with state flows before. Don't really use them a lot. I am new to scripting. The below mentioned script has been written in one of my requirements. Work order task gets created from work order, which is the exact functionality below. Process flow, current, manual, yep, it's UI action. And why we use new state flow, process flow, society manual, and why we use manual in the script line. Okay, this one I do know the answer to. State flows have two possible uses. Manual creates a UI action. Automatic creates a business rule. UI actions are manually triggered. Let's put this. UI actions are manually triggered. A human has to click the button or link. Business rules run based on database operations. Save, update, delete, etc. Any other questions? Let's also include, here goes the voice again. Let's also include the link to state flows so they can get a reference for more information should you want that. Copy, link address. Find this. Docs state flows. No. Command K. I'm going to keep using that I love it. I love it. I love it. It's probably been there the whole time and I just never noticed. That's always embarrassing. But not the first time nor the last. Okay. Refresh. Put some new material into the pipeline. There's our ATF one that we just read. Let's go back a little further in the Wayback Machine. What is shown in a service catalog if this is not linked to any portal page? Let's see what this refers to. For example, in my dev instance, ServiceNow nav2.do catalog home, it seems that a new page is created with some widgets, but actually, as I said before, no portal page is associated with this catalog. Take a look at the page. I'm not following what the issue is. Open. Yikes. Let's make that a little bigger. Shall we? Request our API usage method daily. It looks... That's a catalog? It's hard to say what exactly is going on here. It's not... I say portal page. I'm a bit confused. I'm gonna get confused. When you say portal page, I'm thinking service portal, but I see no reference to service portal in the URI. It could be that your catalog home just has no categories associated with that particular catalog. SysID, whatever, we can even copy and paste that. Everything from right after the %3D, which is an equal sign. There are a few, if you do URI encoding long enough, you'll recognize some of these. %3D turns into an equals, that way you don't have an equals back here and an equals over there. 3F is your question mark, and 26 is an ampersand. Those are three very common characters in a URI. And if you want to pass a URI via the URI as an argument, you got to encode them. Those are hex ASCII codes. We could talk about more of that if you want. But for now, let's move on. Oops, I hit a complete page refresh. Didn't want to do that. It might have been interesting. You know what? Let's do that. Let's take a look at what's been discussed recently. Not discussed as in disgusting. There's some of my recent replies. Filter of group records using on basis of tagging. A couple of replies. Craig is going to cover tagging in the June 6th Tech Now. Hi team, I have created an L2 and assigned this tag to certain users or groups. Now my requirement is I want to notify all managers which belong to the groups tagged with L2. I wrote an after business rule. Okay, encoded query sys tags blah 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 equals send the notify L2 group with the glide record. I'm not sure what this comma is. That doesn't seem to be quite right. Huh. Can anyone please suggest if I'm doing anything wrong as the notifications are not getting triggered? Is the event getting triggered first? Does the events log contain any of the record events? Yep, that's the first question. Yes, event logs has my event created, but not able to see any logs in the email logs. How is the notification configured? Send to event. If it sends to yourself, e.g. have you checked? They're on the right track. Okay, so the original way of triggering notifications, I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but it is still available. Let's go into notifications. This will be a learning opportunity. I'm not really answering a question at the moment, but under system notification, used to be under system policy, under email notifications, I've got the ability to trigger emails in a couple of different ways. And they simplified this, Dublin, Fuji, it was a while ago. So that when I create a new notification, the default is this rather simple format. Okay. When to send it, when a record is inserted or updated. And I can check inserted or updated and say, let's say I go to the incident table and the state changes to closed. Okay, very easy to put this together. Not tough at all. And then you can go on with who will receive it. You can use groups and fields. Let's put the caller in and say your request is closed, etc., etc. Okay, that's one way to trigger an email. This is called a record of insert or update operation. The other way is if an event is fired. And now there's a third way, triggered. I'm going to have to look into that. And you specify an event name. Now, the event name must be registered in the event registry. That's where this list comes from. It's not a reference field. I don't know why. Don't ask. Maybe it's so it uses name values in the choice list. Who knows? Which begs the question, what type of field is that? Is it a reference being shown as a choice? It is a field type of sys event name. We have a special field, type just for that field. Interesting. Okay. Learn something new every day. I'm done by 6:30 a.m. Can I go home now? But this event then gets triggered from just about anywhere else at any random time. You could do this from a scheduled job. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to update the record. You could be looking for records. For example, let's say we're going through approvals that are still sitting around, haven't been updated in a week, or they were created a week ago and haven't been updated. You could write a scheduled job that goes through all the sysapproval_approver records and says, is there anything that is requested that has not been updated in the last week? If so, trigger an event. You do gs.eventQueue, which is what they showed right here. And it takes 4 parameters. One is the event name. What event would you like to trigger? Okay. This simply puts an event into the event queue. It may or may not do anything. The 2 things that events can do are trigger notifications and run script actions. Script actions are run by event triggers. They do nothing else. They're not run on a scheduled basis. They're not run on database operations. They're run when an event is triggered. Now, keep in mind that they're not run immediately. There is a bit of a latency depending on how many events are in the event queue to be processed, how often the event queue is checked. I think it's every few seconds. So you're not going to see an immediate result like, bam, there's the event, bam, there's the result. It takes a few seconds for this to happen. It's happening asynchronously in the background, which is what events are great for. Okay. So we've got to pass the event name. We also pass a glide record, current, GR1 in this case, and then 2 text parameters that you can use perhaps in your script action, perhaps in your mail notification. These are known as event parm1 and event parm2. If you want to pass more complex information than just, in this case, gs.getUserID, then you can put a JSON string together and then parse it in your script action or wherever you want to do that. Your mail script, if you're embedding a mail script, has access to that. So that's how notifications originally were done. I had to write a business rule that said, oh, I see this incident has been updated and the state changed to closed. I better notify someone. And I would put I had, in fact, it's still there. If you look in your business rules, SSRU for your shortcut to your business rules, let's leave that for a second. There is a business rule called incident.events. Well, there used to be. Maybe it's gone. That would be interesting. Let's find out. What happened to my classic example? Incident events. I'm sorry. It's just called incident events. There's typically, for the older applications around ITSM, I think you'll find a change events or change underscore request events, problem events. The whole purpose of this is to run after the record has been updated. Okay, we'll get into before and afters again in just a second. And look at this thing. I'm going to blow that out, make it a little bigger so you can read it. It's simply saying, was this an insert and did the comments change? If so, trigger this event and pass these two parameters. If this was just an insert and, if it was not an insert, I apologize. It could have been a delete, it could have been an update. So current.operation will tell you what happened to this record. Very handy in business rules. If it was an insert, then you can say, hey, an incident has been inserted. Let's trigger that. Again, could run a notification. Maybe these are just going into the queue as future reference. There's one called ci.updated. I don't think anything out of the box uses ci.updated, but boy, it's triggered a lot when you update a CI. So be careful of that, especially when doing an import set, that it's running business rules and it's triggering this event, and your event queue could get too full by doing an import. I am all over the place on this. I kind of went down an event rabbit hole, but this is the traditional way that notifications were triggered, and this is what they're trying to do. My question around this is the event is being triggered, and you can verify that by going to event log, which is right under system policy. Not sure why it's not under system logs. Seems kind of weird. Actually, I think it is under system logs. I think it's just listed as events. Same log. Okay. And these are the events. The system is pumping out some of these by itself every periodically. Hey, you went to this form and you looked at a list. There's a user.view and it tells you what you were looking at. I was looking at the business rules, right? We just saw that a little while ago. Somebody logged out. My mid server for my Raspberry Pi that's sitting over there. Okay, there's a heartbeat. There's going to be upgrades. There's going to be things checking. Okay, just mid server is checking in fairly frequently. You can filter on this list, do whatever you want. And if you want a notification that says your import was complete, you can throw an event in there. You can make up your own events. That's done through the event registry. I probably have a couple of things in here called registry from other applications, but here's the event registry. It is very, very simple, but you need to remember to do this if you're using events. Register it. Put in the event name. Could be anything you want. Standardization is a dotted notation with the table name first. It just helps you find them later. I could call this chuck.likes.ice cream. I could call it anything I want. It's going to show up in that list, but is anybody going to find it with that ridiculous name later? You can see KBView uses KB knowledge as a table, and these two are comments, what it's fired by. They're not required, but they sure are helpful later when you want to know who's using this event. Why are they using it? You can also go to a list of business rules that are triggered by this, or notifications that are triggered by this. Business rules that contain this. Script actions would be nice in here, but you could easily build a related link to do that based on notifications related link. If you took a look at this UI action and looked at the script, it's simply saying, hey, let's redirect to this list where collection is current table. You could do the same thing for your script action, but instead of collection, you could say where event parameter is current.event or current.name. That's what it is. Easy to do stuff. You've all built that before, right? Take an existing UI action, modify it. If you haven't, good one to start with is show workflow. Take the change request workflow and put it on your own table. Okay, hope that was helpful. A little bit of a sidetrack on events and notifications. And I thought I had, as I was talking, I thought I had a clue of what their problem might be. So the UI action is being triggered. Yes, I checked the send to event creator and also to event parm1 and event parm2. So they are using this. I didn't finish my little soliloquy monologue of events back in notifications. Let's go to, I'll tell you what he was, give you a little context of what he's working on there. It's actually kind of fun talking about somebody else's. All right, so we're on incident. We're going to trigger this. Event is fired. We pick a name. Incident assigned. Let's say, hey, it was assigned. There are additional parameters over here in the advanced view. Probably going to do a save. I didn't want to save it. That's all right. I'll delete it. When you say, who will receive it? Okay. Send to the event creator is checked. This is, do I want a message if I am the person doing the update? Let's say I assigned it to myself. Do I want this event to send me a message? I assigned it to myself. That's not a problem. But if I'm assigning it to, say, Jay, and the event is going to send me, if I'm in this who will receive, and it says assigned to, and it's me, or assigned to Jay, it's do you want to send a notification to the person actually doing this action who generated this? Probably doesn't matter. I find mail to me annoying. But if you don't check this, it could get confusing when you start testing, because you'll trigger this thing and go, oh, I didn't get a notification. Why not? This is one of the reasons why you didn't get a notification. And if you hit the preview notification up here, it will have a line through your name if you happen to be one of the recipients, and hover over that line. I love this preview notification thing, by the way. So let's say we send it to the caller. We'll do a save. Let's just flesh this out. When to send, the incident is assigned, who will receive, what it will contain. We'll put some simple thing in here, simple incident assignment. Notifications are a whole lot of fun. Let's do a save and preview. I know I said I'd delete this. This is a personal developer instance. I can muck around with it. It has no name, but I click preview notification, and I might just have the screen a little bit too wide. Here's the event creator, and it is going to try and send it to Fred Luddy. What if Fred Luddy is the person sending it? Okay, get out of here. Unclicker that. Oops, I clicked right through to Fred Luddy. Try that again. Go back. Will it go back to my notification? It better. My unnamed notification. Now, if I don't check send to event creator, watch this, and I save this record, and Fred happens to be the person generating the event. He updated the record. It was assigning it to Fred. It's going to say, currently it says system administrator. I say Fred Luddy, and it crosses his name out. Get rid of that. I don't know why this thing is coming up with a popover on this thing. Fred, as if I clicked the info icon. Fred Luddy, it crosses it out. Now, if you hover over it, it says, Fred's not going to get this because send to event creator is disabled. This is a huge benefit when you're trying to debug notifications, is why wasn't this sent? It could be Fred has notifications disabled. It could be Fred doesn't have an email address. It could be a number of reasons. It could be outbound mail is disabled. Anytime you see that crossed off for one or more of the people receiving this mail, hover over it. Very helpful. 5-second screen lag? I think I had about a 1-second screen lag. 1, 2. Oh, it's getting worse, isn't it? Okay, I might be overtaxing this thing. Maybe I'll get a new machine after I get back from holiday. Anyway, apologize for the screen lag, but thanks for letting me know, Jay. I will try to talk slower or click 5 seconds ahead of what I'm going to talk about. So notifications are very helpful. If you want to find out more about those, you can go, of course, to the doc site. Learn about triggering them with events is very powerful. Again, you could set these up with gs.eventqueue from any server-side script. Doesn't matter if it's a business rule, workflow, script action, UI action. If you want a notification to be triggered, fire an event. And you can fire an event that runs a script that fires a different event. That's always fun too. Let me, as we start to wind down, didn't get very far on that thread. They seem to be having a good discussion all by themselves. Let me go to some links that I had set aside for today that I wanted to discuss. And one of the threads was around using update sets for scoped apps. Somebody said, we'll wait for the screen to catch up. Should you create update sets for scoped applications? I believe this came up yesterday, the day before, whatever it was. I saw how easy it was to order a new laptop at K18. Yeah, I should just talk to my computer and have that delivered to me. Oh, darn, I spilled beer on my laptop. Do I get a new one? Actually, I don't want a laptop. I want a 27-inch iMac, but that's not standard equipment, so now I have to write a business use case. And I don't think I'm motivated to do that today because I'm about to leave. All right, the question was, should you use update sets for scoped apps? This comes down to a question of what are you trying to do? If you are simply trying to move in your app from one instance to another, I wouldn't bother. You can get all your information, almost all your information, using the app repo by doing a publish and install. You go to Studio, you go File, Publish. It says, do you want to publish this? Give it a version number, give it some comments, and away it goes, and it shows up on your other instances ready to install. The biggest problem that I'm aware of with scoped apps publishing is that they don't include delete operations. If you ever looked at the records in an update set, and we can do that right now. Here, let's just go to update sets. And under local update sets, I think I have one or two in here. I was playing around with something, default, QNH. I want to see if I can find something that has a delete in it. Actually, I know what I can do. We'll look here. See what's happening. Okay, I'm not in this scope, but that doesn't matter. Customer updates, there's this action column. Insert or update, insert or update, insert or update, insert or update. And let me filter out that, see if I have anything special in there. There's a few deletes. That's not scary. That actually may be what you want. Case in point, I'm changing the choices in a choice list. I'm adjusting the roles on an ACL. Those are, if I'm taking old ones out, it has to delete them. It's not updating an existing record if I say, take a choice out of a choice list. That is deleting a record. It's behind the scenes, and it looks like you're simply moving it around, but you are actually deleting a record, more than likely from a many-to-many table in some cases, but in other cases, it's an explicit delete. So be aware that delete operations, even simple ones like choice lists, are currently, and I say this as of Kingston, currently not pushed through the repo. The reason for that is because the repo was originally built for ISVs to build applications, and we intentionally do not push deletes. Imagine the scenario where you've loaded an application. I've got version 1 from vendor X off of the store. I paid $2.5 million for this application, and I find it very useful, and I start hooking other applications into it and reading from tables and fields and properties and all this good stuff. And the vendor says, you know what? We're going to upgrade to version 2. Oh, version 2 uses a new table structure. Or we changed the name of the property. Or we modified the choice list. And now your other applications on the same platform break. That's a bad experience. You go back to the vendor and go, what did you do? So we took that out. Now, my philosophy since discovering this is, we know whether you're publishing to the store or whether you're publishing to your private repo. If it's to the private repo, why not make that safe enough? Generally, Acme Corp or Halo or Orbit Corp or whatever the customer is aware of what applications are working with that other application and can remediate it fast if they have an issue and say, oh, hey, somebody changed the choice list. Well, the third application on our system wasn't aware of that. Then you go modify your third application quickly and easily. It's within your sphere of control. So we are working on that. We're aware of it. I don't have a time frame. I've heard it will be fixed in a future release. I don't know if that means a Kingston patch or London or Madrid or beyond that, but it is something that is being addressed. So that's one of the items around scoped apps. So you may still want to do update sets for that specific reason. And I fully acknowledge that right now. If you're just taking an app and moving it forward, and there's no delete operations in there that you're aware of, you could certainly do that. Some people are using update sets in a scoped app exactly as they were using them in a global app. Every story has an update set, or every release has an update set. And if you're doing that, and you're using Kingston or later, I know this is still early in the Kingston deployment cycle for a lot of you, but many have already migrated to Kingston. I invite you to check out a feature called I have it in here. I just can't ever remember what it is. It's called, it's this thread. I even linked to it. It's called Update Set Batching. I always think it starts with an S, but it doesn't. Update Set Batching is a feature that lets you set up hierarchical lists in hierarchical update set structure. So I can have an update set for May 2018 release for this particular application. And if I have 5 stories under there, I could have story 1 with a parent to May 2018 release. If I have a second story 2, same parent. And it has a distinct advantage over merging. Merging will take all of those changes for all of those update sets and mash them into one update set. And then you deploy that to test or prod or whatever. But if something in one of those bits is off, maybe the choice list was incorrect, maybe the script had a bug, maybe something got through and it wasn't quite right, you have to back out the entire update set. Update set batching lets you back out a specific node or entire branch of that hierarchy. Very helpful. So if IT is working on one thing and HR is working on another thing, and they realize there's a conflict or a mashup or whatever, you can take the entire HR branch and say, you know what, back that out. They're not ready for production. It's not going to happen. It's a wonderful feature. So look at update set batching as you go forward. If you continue to use update sets, very, very powerful. Get rid of merging. When we fix the delete thing in the repo, then use that. There's no need for update set in the future. So that's my talk on update sets and batching, the thoughts that came out of that thread. There's another one. It's somebody who's doing a REST integration, and I want to show this one to you in a demo. I think this is a very powerful feature that is underutilized a lot. Let's take an incident, because that's my favorite table to pick on. This is the glide record method. Actually, it's the glide element method set display value. And I want to, let's take this one, 10,003. The caller is currently AWS IoT. Now, in order to change the caller, I would normally need to know the sysid of the new caller. But if I'm doing, say, a REST API integration and I'm getting back the name, Fred Luddy, let's take, I want to open that up. And here's my caller. I know the field name is caller ID, and I want the sysid of this record. So let's copy the sysid and go to scripts background to show you a little test. I'm going to write this in my editor so you can see it a little bit better. Var inc equals new glide record, standard stuff here. We're instantiating a glide record object on the incident table to get an incident object. I'm not going to do any error checking since I already know the sysid is that. Let's get that record. And I can say inc.callerID.setDisplayValue. And this is the cool part. I've done this with groups on import sets and whatnot. If you're doing an import set, this happens in the background automatically because it assumes, if I'm getting names, usernames and group names from LDAP, doesn't know what those are. Let's put in Fred Luddy. It has to be the display value of a record. Now, this also implies that your display values are unique. If they're not, you can fix that quite easily. Oh, you know what else I need? An inc.update to actually update that record. Run in the global script. We run that. Go back to the list of incidents, and 10,003, if I remember my numbers right. Or was it 4? Darn it. Oh, I'm sorted by caller. Let's do ends with 3. %3. Apparently I have two 10,003s, but this one is no longer, must be playing with imports and whatnot, demo data and number renumbering. But this one, attention needed at Mr. Kofefe, was opened by AWS.IoT, and now it's Fred Luddy. So set display value is a very powerful thing for avoiding that, hey, I should go look up the record where the name is Fred Luddy. Now I have a sysid. It's behind the scenes, yeah, it's doing a glide record query or a SQL query to get that information, but you don't have to be bogged down with that. You can set the values of fields, reference fields, based on that. So hope you find that handy. And another comment that I had is similar. It's using reference fields. This was interesting. Let me go back to open up a different editor. This one uses a method called getReferenceTable. I don't use this that often, but I found a beauty of a use case today because somebody was asking, go back to scripts background, and let's see. Let's use the same sysid so I don't have to copy and paste. And my configuration item is going to be a computer. Now, oops. Take a look at this. We wanted to write a business rule that said, if the class of this item is CMDB CI computer. Okay, you familiar with the whole CMDB hierarchy thing? Where you got CMDB at the top, and then underneath is hardware and software, underneath hardware is computer, underneath, you get the idea. CMDB by itself points to the CMDB CI table. Not terribly useful if you want to know, is this a computer? Is this a network switch? Is this a software application? What is the configuration item? What type is that? Sorry for the screen latency. I'm just looking at my monitor and going, oh, I got to slow down again. What I can do is this. Let's take the incident number from that other one. Ding, ding. Copy, because that's the record I updated. Paste that in there. Now, same kind of thing. Instantiate an incident record. Get that record. Watch what happens if I comment these two out for the moment and say, what is, let's comment this one out as well. What is the table being referenced by CMDB CI? In fact, let's do another one. My first attempt was something like this. Incident.cmdbci dot get table name. Okay, there's a class on the glide record, on the glide element, that says, what is the name of the table this thing points to? We'll do this. Table name equals, just so we can tell them apart. And on this one, we'll do ref table name equals. Copy that. Go back to scripts background. Slow down. Let the screen catch up. I will paste that in. Take a drink. You know, it would be more kind of fun is to go, okay, so now that I've got that script, take another drink. Check this out. When I run the script, you would think that the first one says get the table name from CMDB CI would be CMDB CI. Task? That's interesting. That one just confused me all the heck. So I went, okay, We won't use get table name. We'll use get ref table name. And it says, great, CMDBCI, the field points to CMDBCI. All those alerts mean it's the top of the hour. They've just been backlogged. My do not disturb just turned off. And it's trying to catch me up. What I needed to do was use, come on, catch up here, editor. Comment those out. Wait for it to catch up. Turn the crank a little faster on the computer. Is get ref record. This gets the entire reference record. So CMDBCI is a pointer to a record on the CMDBCI table. Hope I'm not using the acronyms too much. This gets me that record. I don't need to do a new glide record. I don't need to tell it what table. I don't need to do a sysid lookup. It says, just go get it. Get it for me. And then I can use the table name of that object to get that information. That's what was commented out here. I'm going to copy and paste that back into Script's background. Watch this. No hands. I like this screen latency thing. It makes me look like a magician. Okay, I paste that in. Watch, I can even code with no hands. Well, it's like ventriloquism. There, I can run scripts without my hands. Now it says I've got the reference record to CMDBCI. It points to the computer table. I've got the legitimate information for that specific CI. Whole lot better. So a couple of things that I wanted to share with you this morning. I thought there was one more, the command K, and I was going to talk about business rules, but you know what? We'll save that for another time. Kids, before business rules happen, before the commit happens, use them for updating the current record. Current.something equals blah. Do not put a current.update in your record. Somebody who's doing a REST integration, they were doing this in an after rule. They had said, oh, great, let's do the REST API. Let's bring everything back. We'll parse it up and we'll say current.recipients or current.short description, whatever, equals this. And they went, why is my record not getting updated? Well, option one is put a current.update. But if you put that in an after business rule, it's going to trigger the business rules again. Not what you want. Put it into a before business rule, and you can do it that way. Or do it some other way, and I'm not going to endorse set workflow equals false in this one. Just don't go there because that's a hacky workaround. Think about when you want to update that information and what you are updating. Before business rules, best applied to the current record because you get that free update. After business rules, best applied to related records, doing something else after it's saved. For example, close all the child tasks if the parent task is marked canceled. Very common scenario. If you somehow get that child task update into a before business rule, you could potentially end up in a crazy scenario where the before business rule runs and closes all the child tasks, and something happens that the parent is not necessarily closed. You may have an error, you may have a set abort action, you may have something wrong with that says, okay, now I've got closed child task, but the attempt to cancel the parent task did not work. You got crazy data mismatch. Don't do it. That's why we have before and after business rules. They're really very powerful. That's going to take care of it for today. Let me just say farewell to you for a few more days. I will be talking to you shortly after Memorial Day, which is May 28th, 2018. So with any luck, I'll have the sanity and the jet lag out of my system or maybe I can use the jet lag to my advantage and be even more awake because I'll still be on Rome time by the time I get back. Let's hope. Until then, take care. I wish you all the best. Go learn something, share it, and you'll be helpful. Till then, bye. Play the music. I'm out of here.